Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of FPL Fanzone. My name's Nick, and as we're now fast approaching the festive season, the game's coming thick and fast. So in today's episode we're going to have a quick look back at Gameweek 17 results. Some of the big talking news, of course, Saka is now injured and been told that he's going to be out for multiple weeks. So we're going to have a look at a few replacements there, and by freeing up that money, a couple of options to strengthen the forward line as well. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to hit subscribe, hit like if you get value from the content, and without further ado, let's get started. So game week 17 for me is the week that what could have been. And again, let's start with the violin music. 42 points on my bench. 42 points. My team got 61 points. Which I'm usually happy around the 60 point mark, but there was a couple of errors that I made there. So first and foremost, if I just run through my team, I had Flecken in goal with 2 points. Timber and Gabriel got 1 point and 4 points, so Gabriel did get an assist, but both of them got yellow cards, which wasn't great, and no clean sheet there. Hall got 7 points, which was fantastic. Moving on to midfield, the big mistake for me was again not hitting save. So before the deadline, I'd switched to Salah as my captain due to the Tottenham defence missing Vicario, missing Romero, missing Van der Ven, but I didn't hit save, so my captain saved as last week's captain as Palmer, who got 3 points, which doubled to 6. Saka obviously came off injured, and we'll talk a little bit more about him and options for replacements moving forward with just the 1 point. Salah then ruined my weekend and got 21 points, which of course if he was my captain would have been great. There were another 20 points there, would have had an 82 point week. Absolutely amazing. Gordon got another assist with 6 points this week. Wood and João Pedro both blanked on 2 points, but Cunha, I'm glad I kept him. Another goal, more bonus points, 9 points for him as well. He's continuing to get that. There's still that doubt over him whether or not he's going to be charged for the fracas after the Ipswich game, but right now he's continuing to get goals, and even though he's got Manchester United and Tottenham up next, both of those are shipping a lot of goals at the moment, and the form he's in, I'm happy to keep him until I hear otherwise. And then if we look at my bench, oh boy, I wish I played a bench boost this week. Now of course I was never going to do that looking at the fixtures there. Pickford was away to Chelsea. They kept another clean sheet, so that's 5 clean sheets in the last 6 games for Chelsea now, for Everton, including games against Chelsea and Arsenal. So certainly one to be thinking about if you haven't got, or if you're looking for defence. Everton are looking very, very strong in defence at the moment. They have got Man City this week, but again, the way Man City are playing at the moment certainly shouldn't be too much of a concern. Then I had Rodgers with 14 points. Kirkes with 6 points and Aina with 15 points. So just looking at that bench, it's obviously just what could have been, but I'm not unhappy with any of the decisions. I'm just unhappy I didn't click save on the change of captain, and overall the team looks pretty strong. But let's have a quick look now at what to do in coming up to game week 18, which is going to be happening on Boxing Day. So moving on to game week 18, and obviously this is a midweek game, it's happening on Boxing Day. So right now I've got 2 free transfers, 0.3 million in the bank, and of course the big glaring issue with this team is Saka. He came off in the first half of the game with a hamstring injury. Since been announced that he's going to be out for several weeks, and with the games coming thick and fast, he could be missing as much as 6 game weeks, even if he's only out 3 or 4 weeks in physical calendar time. So, but just quickly going through my team, I've got Flecken in goal, who's away to Brighton. I don't know why I keep picking Flecken. I'm a sucker for punishment. I should probably just put Pickford in. They're keeping clean sheets. The thing is though, he's got Man City away this week, so just Flecken will sit there again. I've got Timber and Gabriel in defence. Got Ipswich at home, looks like a great fixture for that Arsenal defence, so fingers crossed for 2 clean sheets there. Hall are playing Aston Villa away, who had a great result at the weekend, but just Hall's got some good points. I think 15 and 7 in the last two, so certainly one to keep at the moment. There are options there for maybe to move to Kirkes, who's got Crystal Palace at home, or Aina, who's got Tottenham at home, but both of those are also in good form at the moment. So I'm going to stick with Hall for now. In my midfield, I have already clicked save. Salah is my captain for this week. I will double check that and triple check that multiple times before the deadline. But Salah is at home to Leicester, who have conceded the most goals and most shots on goal since Ruud van Nistelrooy has taken over in there. So I just think that there's a massive haul there, and I'm even considering potentially triple captaining Salah for this game week, although I do know they have a double game week coming up. I've got Palmer as my vice captain at home to Fulham. Saka is currently sitting there with Ipswich at home, but obviously he won't be playing. And then I've got Gordon at home to Aston Villa. And then up front, I've got Wood at home to Tottenham, João Pedro at home to Brentford, and Cunha at home to Manchester United. So with Wood and João Pedro not scoring regularly at the moment, João Pedro is the bigger issue for me. I will be looking at options to downgrade Saka and then upgrade João Pedro. So let's have a quick look at what that looks like. So here's the question for everyone at the moment. Who do we replace Saka with? Now, if you haven't already got Palmer and you haven't already got Salah, then they should be your first choice options if you've got the money to upgrade to either of those two. Outside of that, the answer is actually a lot more difficult. A lot of people are talking about Bruno Fernandes, and he makes a huge amount of sense. He's on penalties, he's guaranteed 90 minutes, he's no rotation risk. The only challenge there is that Manchester United team is very, very hot and cold at the moment, losing 3-0 to Bournemouth at the weekend. But they've got Wolves away, so a great fixture coming up next. Then Newcastle at home, Liverpool away, so a couple of tougher ones before coming Southampton home. So at least 2 of the next 4, you would hope for some returns in that as well. So, and being on pens, he could easily pick up some in tougher games as well. Next up is the Tottenham midfield, and all of these look like good options. The only issue is they're all rotation risks. So if you look at Son, Maddison, Johnson, Kulusevski, they're all getting goals, they're all getting assists, but none of them are playing the full 90 minutes at the moment. Kulusevski is probably the most nailed in that midfield at the moment, and he's got 3 goals in his last 3 games. Maddison scored again at the weekend, but then was taken off at 57 minutes and swapped for Johnson, so he only got 33 minutes. So it's so tough to pick anyone, especially with the games coming thick and fast. We just don't know which of those assets are going to be playing long term. I've put Maddison here just because his underlying stats look great. He's got 8 goals and 5 assists in the first 17 game weeks. So great returns despite not playing every minute of every game. And the fixtures aren't terrible. Nottingham Forest away, they've got a good defence, but Tottenham just seem to be scoring regardless of, they're just conceding more at the moment. Then they've got Wolves at home, again another easy defence for them to target. So looking for someone from that Tottenham option is a great way to go if you're happy with not necessarily having the 90 minutes on that. Then we've got the Chelsea attack, and again that's looking very strong at the moment. I know they blanked against Everton, but Enzo at 5.1 frees up a huge amount of money. 3 goals, 4 assists, and a good run of fixtures as well. Fulham, Ipswich, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth and Wolves over the next 5. He will be nailed in that team. I don't see there being a huge amount of rotation for Enzo. But the other thing is with that Chelsea squad, there's so much depth. They've got so many players that with the midweek games, there is a chance that he gets swapped out or benched for that. So as long as you've got a rotation at 5.1 million, it's not such a risk on that as well. And then I've thrown in a differential here with Foden. Man City's fixtures now start to look amazing. Everton, Leicester, West Ham, Brentford, Ipswich in the next 5. So a lot of people were thinking about potentially bringing back Haaland in this weekend. It's obviously very difficult because Man City are still in a very, very poor run of form. So I think since game week 7, their form is only second worst in the Premier League, only to Southampton, which says a huge amount. They're still sitting in the top 5 of the league. But Foden got his first goal of the season at the weekend. With that run of fixtures, you've got to hope that it's going to turn around for that Man City team. For me, I just think that there is a concern there again with rotation. Foden's not playing every minute of every game. He has played the last two, but like De Bruyne wasn't playing at the weekend, so there's just a lot of rotation risk there again. So, and then the last option for me is a bit of a bandwagon, and Ismail Assar from Crystal Palace. Their fixtures look great with Bournemouth, Southampton. They've got the Chelsea game in there, but you could rotate out for 1 week. Then Leicester and West Ham. So good run of fixtures. He's getting in attacking positions. He's getting goals. He's got 4 goals, 3 assists in the first 17 games. And at 5.7 million and only 1% owned when at time of recording, he could be a massive differential and free up a huge amount of money for me to use and bolster up my front line as well. So right now, these are the options that I'm looking at. There are other options, of course, that you can think about. Iwobi, for example, Ahmad from Manchester United if you want someone cheaper. So there's lots of options to go for. Bowen, I already have Gordon in my team, but if you're looking to double up or triple up on the Newcastle run of form at the moment, Gordon seems to be getting a few returns each week. So it's a tough one. Right now, if I had to pick, it would probably be Bruno Fernandes, just because he's the most nailed for minutes. He's on penalties. He just gives me that security that I don't need to worry about whether he's going to play each week on that, or whether how many minutes he's going to get. And there's, of course, enough attacking threat there to make it worthwhile. But let me know in the comments below, who are you looking at? Is there anyone I should be thinking of for my game week 18 for that Saka replacement? Let me know in the comments below. So just moving on to forwards, there's 3 main ones that are being talked about at the moment. Obviously, Isak is in a very rich vein of form. He is scoring lots of goals, 17 points again at the weekend, and not having him in my team now is starting to cost me rank. He's 34% owned, so a lot of engaged managers have already gone back to Isak. I've not been doing it because I've not had the transfers or the money, but now that I'm freeing up the money from Saka, I should be able to move either Cunha or Pedro up to Isak. Jackson, 9 goals, 4 assists in the first 17 is great returns. 8.2 million, 29% owned. I was a bit surprised by the ownership level there, but those fixtures, Fulham, Ipswich, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth and Wolves, just looks like a good option. Really does. That Chelsea attack is looking really, really strong at the moment. And then lastly, a bit of a bandwagon, Jesus. Jesus has scored 5 goals against Crystal Palace in the last 2 games. So 3 in the cup and 2 in the league. So when we saw that Mark Gahey had a rainbow armband saying I love Jesus, maybe we just read it wrong. Maybe it was Gabriel Jesus that he loves. But 5 goals against Crystal Palace has obviously put him on the radar. The concern that I have with Jesus is that while we've got Ipswich at home, then we've got a couple of tough fixtures. Brentford and Tottenham, Villa in the next 5, but he's also a potential rotation risk. Obviously, he's scored 5 goals in 2 games, so it's unlikely him to be dropped for the next one against Ipswich. But with no Saka in that team, is he still going to get the same level of supply on that team as well? So it looks like Martinelli will probably switch and take over Saka's position, and then we'll have Trossard playing on the other side, but I'm just not sure that level of creativity is still going to be there for Jesus while Saka is out. So for me, Jesus won't be in the team, but I am certainly looking at bringing in Isak. So let me know what you're doing with your teams. Are you looking to upgrade? Are there any other strikers that I've missed that are in form at the moment? Let me know in the comments below. So just some things to consider over the next couple of game weeks. As I said, they are coming thick and fast. The first one's happening on Boxing Day, and then another game week happening at the weekend. With the game weeks coming so fast, try and pick players that are likely to play all games and be 90 minutes. I was going to say people like Saka, but obviously he's got injuries. Try and roll your transfers. Keep those for people like Saka getting injured, and it gives you options to move the team around. Try not to rush transfer decisions. Don't just jump on a bandwagon for someone having one good game week. So yeah, it's a bit of a tough time at the moment, but giving yourself options and time to think are going to be really helpful for you when you come out the other side of this period. And then we do have a bit of a break in middle of January, but there's 2 weeks off, so it'll give you time to think, reset your team and move forward. You also get your second wild card from game week 20. So in 2 game weeks time, the second wildcard will be active. So for anyone that hasn't already used their first wildcard, there's a great opportunity for you now to reset your team before you lose it, and then obviously be given a second one in game week 20 that you can use later on in the season. And then lastly, the captains for this week. Now, I've learnt my lesson. Salah is just perma-captain for now until things change. But too many times I've not captained him and he's absolutely killed my rank. Isak is in a rich run of form at the moment. Got another good fixture this week. And then obviously Cole Palmer. Got Fulham at home this week. So a tougher fixture for Palmer, but certainly one to be considering on that as well. So Salah is my captain. Palmer is my vice-captain. I don't have Isak in my team at the moment, but if I bring him in, he may well be my vice-captain for this week. Just want to say a massive thank you for watching FPL Fanzone. If you've got this far into the video, please do hit that like button. Hit subscribe if you're new to the channel, and that notification bells if you want updates on videos coming up over the Christmas period.